Welcome to ZOOVIVO, and today we're ranking 7 apex predators not by how deadly they are, but by how absolutely bizarre their hunting methods are. Let me explain how we're ranking these predators. We're not looking at kill rates or raw power. Instead, we're judging them purely on how weird, unexpected, or downright creative their hunting strategies are. The stranger the method, the higher they rank. Number 7, the great white shark. Now you might be thinking, what's so strange about a shark? They just swim and bite things. But here's what most people don't know. Great whites are actually stealth hunters that use a technique called spy hopping. A seal is lounging on the surface, completely unaware of the 2,000-pound predator lurking below. The shark doesn't just charge up blindly. Instead, it slowly rises vertically through the water column, lifting just its head above the surface to scout its prey. It's literally playing submarine periscope, but that's not even the strangest part. Great whites have been observed approaching their prey from directly below and behind, positioning themselves in what scientists call the blind cone of their target. They've figured out the exact angle where seals can't see them. Then, in one explosive burst, they rocket upward at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour, breaching completely out of the water with their prey in their jaws. What makes this truly bizarre is the level of calculation involved. These aren't mindless eating machines. They're actually using geometry and understanding their prey's field of vision. They've essentially turned hunting into a math problem, and they've solved it. Number 6. The archerfish. This small, unassuming fish has evolved what might be the most creative hunting method in the entire animal kingdom. The archerfish spots an insect resting on a leaf or branch above the water's surface. Instead of waiting for it to fall or trying to jump, this fish literally shoots it down with a jet of water from its mouth. And we're not talking about a lucky splash. These fish can hit targets up to 10 feet away with remarkable precision. But here's where it gets really strange. Scientists discovered that archerfish actually adjust for the refraction of light at the water's surface. When you look at something through water, it appears to be in a slightly different position than it actually is. Your brain compensates for this automatically, but you've had years of experience. Baby archerfish can do this instinctively from birth. Even more mind-blowing, they've learned to predict where their prey will fall. The moment that water jet hits, the archerfish is already swimming to the landing spot. They're calculating trajectories like tiny, aquatic snipers, and recent studies show they can even adjust the force of their shot based on the size of the prey. Bigger bug, stronger blast. What really earns them this spot is that they're essentially using tools, something we used to think only primates could do. They've weaponized water itself. Number 5, the margay. Now, lots of predators use camouflage or stealth, but the margay, it uses deception on a level that would make a con artist jealous. This cat has learned to mimic the distress calls of baby monkeys. Let me paint this picture for you. A margay spots a group of pied tamarin monkeys high in the trees. Instead of trying to climb up and chase them, which would be exhausting and probably unsuccessful, it hides in the undergrowth and starts making crying sounds that perfectly match a baby tamarin in trouble. The adult monkeys hear this and come rushing down to investigate, their parental instincts overriding their caution. And that's when the margay strikes. This is called aggressive mimicry, and while a few other predators use it, the margay is the only cat known to do so. It's not just imitating sounds randomly. It's specifically targeting the psychological vulnerabilities of its prey. It's exploiting the love parents have for their children. What makes this even stranger is that margays have been observed adjusting their calls based on the specific monkey species in the area. They're not using a one-size-fits-all approach. They're tailoring their deception to their audience. It's calculated manipulation, and it works. Number 4, the alligator snapping turtle. The alligator snapping turtle has been perfecting its bizarre hunting technique for over 20 million years. This turtle has evolved a bright pink, worm-shaped appendage on its tongue, and it uses this fake worm in the most devious way possible. The turtle buries itself in the muddy bottom of a river or lake, opens its massive jaws, and just waits. Its shell is covered in algae, making it look like a rock. Its dark coloring blends with the murky water. The only thing visible is that wiggling pink worm inside its mouth. Fish see what looks like an easy meal and swim right in. The moment they cross the threshold, those jaws snap shut with enough force to easily take off a human finger. Game over. But here's what makes this truly strange. The turtle doesn't just wiggle its tongue randomly. It moves in specific patterns that mimic the movement of actual worms. Scientists have observed that they wiggle more intensely when fish are nearby, as if they know they have an interested customer and need to close the sale. Even weirder, they seem to have preferences. Some turtles wiggle fast, some slow, some add little twitches. They've developed individual fishing styles. These ancient reptiles are essentially running their own fishing operations, using their own bodies as both the rod and the bait. The patience involved is almost unsettling. They can stay motionless for hours, mouths open, waiting. In a world of chase predators, they've become the ultimate ambush hunter. Number 3. The Portia spider. This tiny, jumping spider, no bigger than your fingernail, might be the most intelligent invertebrate on the planet. While most spiders build a web and wait, Portia actively hunts other spiders, and it does so with strategy so complex that scientists initially couldn't believe what they were seeing. Here's how it works. Portia finds another spider's web and starts plucking the silk strands in specific patterns. It's not random vibrations, it's deliberately mimicking the struggles of trapped prey or the courtship signals of a potential mate. The resident spider comes to investigate, and Portia attacks. But that's just the beginning. If one signal doesn't work, Portia tries different patterns until it finds one that does. It's essentially running experiments, trial and error, learning, adapting. What really elevates Portia to this ranking is its ability to plan ahead. Researchers set up mazes where Portia could see its target spider, but had to take a long, winding route to reach it. The spider would study the situation, sometimes for up to an hour, then execute a complex path that temporarily took it out of sight of its prey. It planned a route it couldn't see while walking. That requires working memory, mental mapping, and future planning. In a brain the size of a pinhead, with only about 600,000 neurons. For reference, humans have 86 billion. Portia proves that you don't need a big brain to be a strategic genius. You just need the right programming. A spider with problem-solving abilities that would impress any chess player. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. Number 2. The orca. The orca, or killer whale, has developed hunting techniques so sophisticated and varied that different populations are essentially running different playbooks. Let's start with wave washing. Orcas in Antarctica have learned to hunt seals that escape onto ice floes. A group of orcas will swim in formation toward the ice, creating a coordinated wave that washes over the floe and knocks the seal into the water. This requires precise timing, communication, and an understanding of physics that seems almost impossible for an animal to grasp. But here's where it gets stranger. They teach this to their young. Baby orcas don't just inherit these behaviors genetically. They learn them through years of practice and observation. Scientists have documented orcas letting injured seals go so their calves can practice the technique. They're running training exercises. In other regions, orcas have developed completely different strategies. In Norway, they use carousel feeding, herding fish into tight balls, using bubbles and flashes of their white undersides, then stunning them with tail slaps. In New Zealand, they've learned to hunt stingrays by flipping them upside down, which triggers a paralysis response called tonic immobility. Perhaps most disturbing is their method for hunting great white sharks. Orcas have figured out that if they flip a shark upside down, it becomes immobilized. They then surgically remove the liver, the most nutritious part, and leave the rest. They've invented a butchering technique. What earns orcas the number 2 spot isn't any single hunting method. It's their ability to constantly develop new ones. They don't just adapt, they create. Different orca populations around the world have developed entirely unique hunting cultures, passed down through generations like family recipes. Number 1. The mantis shrimp. This colorful crustacean looks like it was designed by a committee of mad scientists, and its hunting method is quite literally out of this world. The mantis shrimp punches its prey, but calling it a punch is like calling a nuclear explosion a campfire. These animals swing their club-like appendages at speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. The acceleration is so extreme that it's one of the fastest movements in the entire animal kingdom. But here's where physics gets weird. The strike is so fast that it actually boils the water around it through a process called cavitation. This creates a secondary shockwave that hits the prey even if the initial punch misses. The collapsing cavitation bubbles produce temperatures briefly reaching 8,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than the surface of the sun. It also produces a flash of light called sonoluminescence. Let me repeat that. This shrimp punches so hard, it creates light and heat comparable to the sun. In the ocean, the force of impact can reach 1,500 newtons, which is hundreds of times the shrimp's body weight. They can shatter aquarium glass. They can crack open crab shells like they're made of paper. Some researchers have to keep them in special reinforced tanks. But the strangeness doesn't stop at the punch. Mantis shrimp have the most complex eyes in the animal kingdom, with 16 types of color receptors compared to our 3. They can see ultraviolet light, infrared light, and polarized light. They essentially see a completely different reality than we do, and they use this supervision to track their prey with impossible precision. Some species don't punch at all. They spear, using sharp, barbed appendages to impale fish with the same terrifying speed. Either way, the prey never sees it coming. The mantis shrimp earns the top spot not just because of its physical capabilities, but because it represents hunting taken to such an extreme that it breaks the normal rules of physics. It hunts with weapons that create mini explosions of heat and light. In the ocean, every single time it attacks. When evolution needs to create the ultimate predator, apparently, the answer is to give a shrimp thermonuclear boxing gloves. Which predator surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below.